The equation should be so simple. On one side, Ethiopian orphans craving love and security. On the other, childless Australian couples with empty homes and open hearts. Bring them together and everyone's happy. Well, that's how it should be anyway. Sadly, red tape and mismanagement here in Australia and over in Africa have scuttled the dreams of hundreds of would-be families. It's heartbreaking for the kids, for the prospective parents, and yes, for me as well, because I've been privileged enough to witness firsthand just how wonderful these adoptions can be.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm getting a cuddle from you. Oh, you're beautiful.
It's a moment I've been looking forward to.
The Gavels of Canberra. Skinny and Esky, and Snowy and Jessie.
How are your daughters going?
Oh, they're beautiful. Thank you for asking.
A reunion with two new Australians very close to my heart.
Oh, this has made my day.
For 6 years, I've followed the journey of Ethiopian-born Esky and Skinny Gavel, the much-loved adopted children of ABC sports broadcaster Tim Gavel and his wife Jenny.
How have they evolved as people?
It's been very natural in that they take on a lot of our mannerisms. They are very Australian and they really want to fit in here.
They've become more confident and the personalities are really coming out. Skinny is a real chatter, Esky's a real little lady, little princess. Fantastic kids.
10-year-old Esky and Skinny, who's 8, are happy, gracious souls.
Good girl.
The lovely thing is, they're well aware of how fortunate they are to be living such lives of opportunity.
What? I'm going to do the underneath.
Dad's a really kind person and he always thinks about us and he cares for everybody. Yeah, he's a great dad.
You're a goner.
Oh, Goner.
Tim and Jenny are very much your mum and dad, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
What do you talk to your mum about?
We talk about a whole lot of things. She's more the smart one in the family and she's sort of like the boss because she's the oldest.
So you don't tell Dad that, do you?
No.
That's right.
We just can't imagine our lives without them and we can't remember our lives without them.
It's put life in perspective, that's for sure.
The purity of the love I feel for my biological children, do you feel the same way about your adopted children?
They just, to us, they're our children. You know, they're like our offspring. They're every part us. You know, we would take a bullet for them. All those sorts of things. It's just they are our lives.
But not all intercountry adoptions end as happily as the Gavels.
It's just sort of like we're in some sort of strange hold pattern while everybody else goes on with the phase of their life. You know, we don't.
Bronwyn and Scott McNamara were approved to adopt 2 Ethiopian children in 2003. But the family they yearn for has been in limbo for 7 long years, delayed by Australia's agonisingly slow international adoption procedures.
It's just the actual process that you go through and the bureaucracy and all the other issues make it more complex than having your own biological child. It's a lot easier to have your own child. It's a 9-month pregnancy. This is a 7-year pregnancy to this point, and we still don't even know whether we're going to even get children.
Yeah.
After years of war, famine and disease, Ethiopia is overflowing with orphans, as I discovered in 2004 when I travelled to the ancient capital of Addis Ababa to meet Esky and Skinny for the first time. Their real parents dead and grandparents no longer able to care for them, they waited patiently at the orphanage for the moment that would change their lives forever.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. How are you?
Hello. How are you? Aren't you gorgeous?
In those first tentative hours, it was obvious the forging of this little instant family would be a success. It's remarkable, really, that by the time they reached home in Canberra, the Gavels had bonded. Mother and daughter, father and son. It was delightful to watch.
Skinny and I are best friends.
Yeah, big best friends.
Well, you've been through a lot together, haven't you? When you stop and think about it.
I help her so much. No, you're always there, buddy.
You are a character, Skinny.
They're the kind of scenes the McNamaras have imagined 1,000 times.
So this is the life story book, and this is what you give to the children.
Their
when they
lovingly
actually
prepared
arrive, and
adoption
it's all about
file is one of 300 applications from Australia caught up in a quagmire of bureaucracy at both ends.
of humans.
So this is part of your proposal, I suppose, to become parents of these Ethiopians. You have to do something like this.
Yeah, so it's about our childhood and our interests, and what we do, with work.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
While Ethiopia's adoption programs continue to operate smoothly with other Western countries, Australia's is a shambles. In the last year, the program was suddenly stopped, then restarted, and now it's stalled, with no children being allocated to Australia for months.
The United Nations says there's 744,000 orphans in Ethiopia. That's a lot of orphans. And here we are for 7 years, quite well equipped to be able to provide a loving and safe home for these children. And yet, we might never be able to do that.
What do you think, Skinny?
Well, I think we're really lucky because there's thousands of kids there that could have got chosen, but they chose us, so that's really lucky.
Do you know anything about the story of your parents?
My mum died of being sick, except our dad, we don't know because there's so many stories with him. And one of them was that he got shot by the Ethiopian government.
But even success stories like the Gavels can be marred by the procedural madness of overseas adoption. Before leaving Ethiopia, Eski and Skinny went to farewell their grandparents. It was only then, in the back streets of Addis Ababa, the Gavels discovered, to their horror, the children had a big sister, Meron. She'd not been mentioned because at 12, she was too old for adoption. Amid the final gut-wrenching goodbyes, Tim and Jenny promised they'd support Meron through school and one day find a way that she too could come to Australia. That day has finally come. The Gavels organised and funded a 3-year student visa for Meron, and 15 months ago, a shy young woman arrived at Canberra Airport. Overwhelmed, bewildered and struggling with a new language, but finally reunited with her brother and sister.
Yeah, Hegarty.
We had to make the family complete. It really wasn't right that she see that her brother and sister come over here and she's not with them.
Do you see her as your daughter?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
A better life has come late for Meron, but a year on she's flourishing, settled at a Canberra high school, loving her new family and quickly embracing her adopted language.
Everything's better, like school and live with family, with sister and brother, and I got lots of friends, I made lots of friends, and all Australian people is lovely, like lovely, kind and wonderful.
It must have been daunting for her, coming from that tiny room where we met her to this.
When she first arrived, you could tell she still had a strong connection with Esky and Skinny, and they've not remembered that relationship. And I remember when she arrived, she was a little bit teary when they didn't speak Amharic, and she couldn't really communicate with them. Now she can.
She's talked to me about Ethiopia before, so yeah, she's told me stories and stuff.
What sort of stories has she told you?
When Skinny and I were little and we were quite naughty in Ethiopia, and yeah, some of those stories.
Are you naughty now?
Oh, yes.
Surprise me, Skinny. How naughty?
Oh, well, just a slight smidge. Just that much, I guess.
Like many Ethiopian children, Esky suffered malnutrition as a baby, and the Gavels have worked long and hard to restore her damaged system. But just look at her today, happy, healthy and swimming like a fish. This very determined young lady is a champion in the making.
Go, Esky!
Jenny is with her daughter every stroke of the way.
Mum wants me to swim for Ethiopia.
Will you?
Maybe.
Can we come and watch?
Yeah.
We'll cheer you on.
Hopefully similar family goals and milestones lie ahead for the McNamaras, but the bureaucracy that's delayed their dream for so long now threatens to end it completely. Rules state the age gap between a mother and her adopted child can't be greater than 40 years. Bronwyn's window of opportunity is shrinking by the day.
Tell me, have you thought about what it would feel like to actually have your Ethiopian adopted children say, "Hi, Mum. Hi, Dad."
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All the time.
Yeah.
Pretty magic words, Mum and Dad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Even if they were yelling at us, wouldn't worry me. It'd be great.
Those poor people who have been waiting for so long, and they can give good homes to kids who are otherwise in orphanages. And you've been to those orphanages, you've seen what they're like. And I think all of us can clearly say we're better than an orphanage.
Coming up, we just live in the moment. We just love exploring life.
But you just don't want this life to end.
No.
Could death be curable?
There's a magic temperature at -130.
Can't wait.
The Aussies joining a worldwide movement.
Nicer than a coffin.
To live forever.
2-hour window to deploy our team anywhere in the world.
But be warned, there's a catch.
They've got the technology to put us in, but they haven't quite figured out how to bring us out yet.
Cryonics. Is it a science or nonsense?
There's an enormous amount of wishful thinking.